Hello, hello. I'm just going to check on my YouTube app to see if I am actually live. What a world we live in, folks. What a world we live in. That you can go live on YouTube anytime you choose. There I am. Yes, I see myself. Okay. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Sarah Newcomb, and I write a blog called Sleeping is for Losers. And every once in a while, I love to jump on live and talk all about blogging. Because I think, if you followed me for any amount of time, you know that blogging is my jam. It is what I love to talk about. It's what not even kind of, it completely changed my life. And I like to kind of give back now to people who are just starting blogging, who are trying to ramp up their blog, who are hoping to make a living out of their blog, because I was in those shoes not that long ago. Now, I have to say, like, this sign over my shoulder, hello fall, it snowed yesterday. I think that sign is maybe a little bit outdated, perhaps shouldn't be there anymore. I'm not entirely sure, but look, it is what it is. It's probably not going to come down till my Christmas tree goes up. Just got to be honest with you guys. So today we're going to have a little bit of a story time, and we're going to talk a little bit about what blogging was when I started and where blogging is now. And then we're going to wrap it up a little bit with a few things that you can do right now if you are just starting blogging or you're trying to ramp up your game. You're trying to do something new and different. If you do have questions, please feel free to jump in. I want to hear them and I want to chat with you. You can always leave me questions afterwards as well. So just checking the stream, making sure that I actually am live. And let's get started. All right, so blogging for me was a completely unknown thing until I had my first son in 2009. So when I was pregnant, I should back that up, I started finding these things called blogs, and I had never heard of them before, and I had no idea what they actually were. But blogs became my go-to. And they're really what got me through pregnancy and motherhood in general. So for me, sorry, just going to turn that off. So for me, blogging really saved, I would say, my life in a lot of ways. But it also opened my eyes to this whole online world that existed that I'd never heard about or understood before. And you have to understand back in 2008, 2009, blogging was not what it is now. In fact, it was incredibly different. It was really focused on the idea of storytelling, telling stories about your day, stories about things that you went through with your kids, relaying thoughts and feelings that you had, maybe talking about the nitty-gritty stuff that nobody ever talked about. And that was something that was really different and interesting and something that I loved about blogging. And it was the main reason, to be very honest, it was the main reason that I bothered to continue to read blogs, because people were just being honest and real and true and telling their stories. And let me tell you, in those days, some of the people had the most amazing writing. It was like reading novels. You just couldn't wait for the next post to come out. You got so attached and excited to be reading somebody's blog, and you really felt like they were your friends. Like, if I'm being honest, I really felt like a lot of these bloggers were my true, actual friends. Fast forward a couple of years, I was still blogging, but blogging had really changed. I'd say 2010, 2011 was when I saw the shift from being a blogger who told stories, connected with people, was really, really interested in being a friend, reaching out, telling those stories that other people weren't telling. It changed from that to a business, making money, representing brands, becoming a spokesperson, getting deals. And there was a really very definitive shift in the way people blogged once money came into play. Now, that's not to say that people weren't already making money as bloggers, but there was a real huge shift in 2010, 2011, where you saw people not blogging because they loved to write, because they had stories to tell, because they wanted to connect. They were blogging because they wanted to make that money. And look, I ain't mad at that, but it was a very big shift and a very different shift. And what happened during that time is a lot of the bloggers that I loved, the ones who really poured their heart and soul into their writing, started to fall away. And what happened was that bloggers who were a little more business-minded or saw the opportunities started to take over. And so that was around 2011 when I had my second son. You really saw that shift. Now, after that shift happened, blogging has never been the same. So it went from being that real storytelling, I want to pour my heart and soul out onto the internet, to being a place where, quite frankly, you wrote things because they made you money. And then around 2013, 2014, there was another shift. And that shift took us away from writing altogether, moving into visual. So that's when video became super popular, when you had to have really gorgeous photos, when people were not visiting your blog because they wanted to sit and read a 10,000 word piece that you had on motherhood. They wanted to scroll through quickly, see some gorgeous photos, get the gist of what you were trying to say, and move along. So there's been a really interesting kind of evolution of blogging, from going from this, hardcore writing, pouring your heart out onto the page, to, oh, this is a business, we can make money, how are we going to do that, to, let's get rid of the writing because it takes a long time. Let's put in some, pretty pictures. Let's kind of have a formula for the way we write our blog posts, and that will, make everything easier, and that's what our audience wants, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been around for all of those shifts, and let me tell you, although I'm not mad at it, I really miss that storytelling part of blogging. It's what drew me to it. It's what made me want to be a blogger. In fact, that storytelling part of blogging is the reason that I even have a career now, because my ability to tell a story on my blog is the reason that I was able to parlay a blog into a freelance writing career. But I'm getting a little off track, because the history of blogging, in my world anyway, is really important for this reason. If you don't understand what blogs were, hi, Taz. Sorry, just getting rid of somebody here. Ah, nice. I've been blocked. So if you don't understand where blogging was, you can't understand where it's going now. So if you've watched that evolution from the writing to the beautiful pictures, you'll understand a little better where it goes now. So where is blogging going now? Well, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Blogging is in this really weird place right now. Never have you been able to make more money, but also never has it been harder to break through. Let's face it, like, everyone and their dog has a blog or an Instagram or some kind of social media following, if we're being really, really honest. So how do you get to stand out online when it is incredibly saturated by all these other bloggers who aren't having to pour their heart and soul, and quite frankly, not even having to do a lot of hard work, but still making money, still becoming really popular, and still really profiting from the blogging world? So I have a few little takeaways for you, and a few little things that I have noticed in the past year or so, based on my experience in blogging, that I think are going to be really useful for you if you are trying to start or grow your own blog right now. So number one, you do need to get on board with the images. Look, I'm like the biggest image holdout. I'm not a photographer. I don't really enjoy taking photos. But if you really want to do well, if you really want to ensure that that your blog is noticed and that you grow a following, you have to look at photography. So that might mean that you get someone to take photos for you. That might mean that you invest in a photography course or a nicer camera or whatever it is for you. But the truth of the matter is, you have to start to look at the visual and not just the writing. But the second thing is that writing aspect that I told you drew me to blogging way back in 2009. That is something that is coming back. In fact, I am seeing better and better, better and better and better blogging writers coming out of the woodwork. They disappeared for a while. When it became all about business, when it became all about sponsored posts, when it became all about making money as a blogger, those really great writers disappeared. But guess what? They're back. And people are reading their blogs. In fact, I find that the longer your blog post, the juicier it is, the more you dig into a topic, the more your readership grows and grows. So while yes, those images are important, if your heart is in writing, pour it into your blog right now. This is the time when people are looking at reading for longer periods of time. They want something juicy. They want something relatable. They want something to sink their teeth into. And you can be the person who gives that to them. Now, the next thing you need to know about blogging is that if you're not on WordPress, you need to get on there now. There have been, Blogger, Squarespace, there's a lot of different platforms to go on to, but WordPress is where it is. It is the future of blogging platforms, and if you are not on it, I implore you to get there now, and also to have a self-hosted blog. If you pop over to sleepingisforlosers.com, you'll see I can walk you through how to have a self-hosted blog. It is a very, very small monetary investment, but it is so crucial. That's something that wasn't important back in 2009. We all had those free Blogspot blogs or a Tumblr or, something that was easy and free and we didn't have to put any effort into. I wish that was the case now. It just isn't. So if you're not technologically savvy, pay someone to do it for you. If you are technologically, I can't say that word. If you are savvy, go ahead and do it yourself. But it is a non-negotiable now. You need to be on WordPress. You need to have a template that you love. You need to make sure that you're self-hosted. Those are non-negotiables. You need to be looking at having beautiful images, and you need to be digging your teeth into really juicy and interesting topics when you are writing. Because like so much else in the world, blogging is cyclical. And although we got away from the idea of writing really well, from the idea of really pouring our heart and soul into the pieces that we put out onto the internet, we got away from that for a few years. Guess what? That cycle is coming back. So this is the time to really hone those writing skills and bring them in. The reason that I've stuck around with blogging for so long, and I get asked this question a lot, because for years it wasn't lucrative, and for years, I made a couple $100 a month maybe, but it wasn't a money maker for me. The reason I stuck around is because blogging gives you an opportunity to bare a part of your soul, to talk about things you normally wouldn't talk about, and to really interact and engage with people you would never get to meet. That's what's drawn me to blogging and kept me there over all the years. If you don't feel that way about blogging, if it's not something that draws you, if you're not writing on your blog, it's bothering you, then maybe look at starting something on social media first before you dive into having a blog. Dip your toe in the water. Maybe that's a good way to say it. Test it out. See how it goes. Don't force it. Don't make yourself do something. There's lots of opportunities right now on Instagram. There's lots of opportunities on Facebook. I'm sure there'll be another social platform coming out in the next few months that we're all going to go crazy about. But there's a lot of opportunity on social media platforms. So while I am the biggest proponent of blogging and I love it and I can't imagine that I'll ever give it up, if you don't love to write, if blogging is torturous for you, if you don't see the benefit, then I would say to you, start with social media. Allow yourself to grow there. Hone your skills in terms of captioning, in terms of photography, in terms of growing a base of people who truly love you and want to be part of what you're doing. And then transition that over to a blog. That's very different than it was back in 2009 when I started, but you know what? It's okay that it's not the same way. What you really want to be doing, though, is the exact same thing that we were all doing way back when blogging started, and that is truly connecting with people. So that is my last tip for our chat tonight, is that you really, really need to connect with people. You need to find people who are like-minded, people who enjoy your content, people who you want to chat with, and they don't have to become your best friend, and you don't need to meet them in real life. None of that. But you really, really, really need to meet people and connect with them and really have a relationship where you give as much as you take. Because that is my final point. Social media has allowed us to take and never have to give. That cycle is going to come back. We're going to start seeing people expecting to be given more than they're giving to you. And if you want to be successful, you want to have longevity in the blogging or social media world, you want to eventually make money off of it, you have to be focused on what you can give instead of what you can take from people. So I know this was a bit of a trip down memory lane when it comes to what blogging was and what blogging is now. It's also my first time going live on YouTube. I'm not sure how I feel about the platform. I tend to do videos that are pre-taped and then live on Facebook and YouTube. But it's kind of interesting to do these live chats. I had my first troll, which was so exciting. And yeah, it was great to have you guys join me. So to kind of wrap this up in a nice little bow, was blogging better in 2009? Maybe it was. There was not a lot of pretense. There was not a lot of expectation. There was not a lot of knowledge of business or how to grow. It was just about pouring your thoughts and feelings into the world. But what I love about blogging is that, like so many other things, it has evolved, it has changed, and people now have the ability to make a living off of doing something that they truly, truly love. And look, I could never, ever be mad at that. Blogging gave me a whole new life, and I know it can do the same for you too. In our next live stream, I think we're going to talk a little bit about goal setting. It is the beginning of November right now. That means that we are heading into a brand new year, and you need to start thinking about the kind of goals that we have for our blogs and our social media, and I want to do that together with you. So if you want to join me, keep an eye on my Instagram. I'll leave a link down below for you to my Instagram. Join me, and we're going to chat all about goal setting, what it means to have goals for your blog, what reasonable goals are, because we know we want to be able to achieve them, and then what some of those pie-in-the-sky goals might be and how we might get there. But until next time, my friends, see you later.